Howdy fellas, this is B Junior from the Endurance Productions YouTube channel and B Junior's Movie Cave. Hanging out in the cave. I got in some screener material the other day from the wonderful folks at Echo Bridge Entertainment. I got a Blu-ray double feature for you today from Dusk Till Dawn and from Dusk Till Dawn 2, Texas Blood Money. That's right, guys. What I want to do is kind of in the Blu-ray review format. I'm not going to go into great detail over the story today, because if you've been around, in or around horror movies, you know what the from Dusk Till Dawn movies are about, basically, so I won't go too far into that. These Blu-ray reviews are more or less with my thoughts on the picture and sound quality and kind of my overall feelings on the presentation therein. First up, from Dusk Till Dawn, of course directed by Robert Rodriguez. I love Robert Rodriguez's films. I always have. Just about everything except for Spy Kids. I'm not too much into those films, but he's made a lot of great films over the years, over the last decade and a half. So I got to say, this is probably one of his better ones. A lot of people were turned off from Dusk Till Dawn. I remember back in the day when it first came out around 1995, 96 era. Mainly because it's a two-act movie. It's not a real three-act movie. It basically is it's split down the middle, two parts. From the beginning to about the middle of the film, it's basically a crime drama about the two brothers there running from the law, trying to stay alive and get out of town, get down below the border of Mexico. And basically, right in the midway point, they take some hostages and are going to hide out in a bar. Well, the bar is inhabited by sort of like a hive of vampires, and it's about them, the rest of the movie, fighting the vampires to stay alive. So, like I said, it didn't go over too well back in the day from what I remember, but nowadays it's kind of found a cult following over the years. So, basically the movie's about some, crime, just some criminal, bank robbers, basically on the run from the law, and they find this hive of vampires, and it's about them trying to stay alive through the night with their hostages. And there's some other great characters played by Tom Savini and Fred Williamson and other folks like that show up in this movie as well. Of course, in the main roles, you have George Clooney, Quentin Tarantino, Juliette Lewis, and Harvey Keitel, just to name a few. Mostly, and more importantly, let's go over the Blu-ray features here. Now, this is an Echo Bridge Entertainment release, so you already kind of know going in it's going to be a bare bone release. It's not going to have a whole lot of special features at all. Basically, it's just the meat and potatoes like the other double features that I've reviewed so far from Echo Bridge. It's just the movie, high definition, get her done kind of copy. From Dusk Till Dawn original, there is an high definition 1080p, 16:9 widescreen, 1781 ratio. Basically, it's got the English 5:1 DTS audio in it. I can honestly say overall picture quality is pretty good on the first one. I didn't have too much of a problem with it. You could tell it was in high definition, but you could tell they didn't do a whole lot to clean it up. But overall, for the price involved, I think these are going to be priced at when they eventually hit the shelves. I don't think it's going to hurt your pocket too bad. I just wouldn't pay full price when they first come out. I would probably pick a lot of these double features up after they kind of went down in price a little bit. Probably around the $10 range, somewhere like that, which I believe these are going to be priced at eventually. But from Dusk Till Dawn 1, yeah, I mean, no special features, guys. Picture quality is probably a solid 3.5 stars out of 5. You know, it's better than DVD. It sounds better than DVD. It's very clean, especially when you get to the vampire parts of the movie, and all the monsters and the bat people are flying around and all the special effects are happening. It sounded really good. Overall, not a bad presentation. I just wish it had more of the special features that came with the 2-disc DVD from Dimension years ago. Now, from what I understand, if you buy the Echo Bridge DVD version of this or the single Blu-ray version, they got all these different versions of the same movie out. These other versions with the movie by itself, look at the bottom. They may include that second disc, which is called Full Tilt Boogie. It's basically a feature-length documentary on the making of the film. I highly recommend picking that one up if you want to get all the goods. So know that there is kind of a pseudo-special edition out by Echo Bridge. You just have to look for it to be included with this one in a single format, I think. Let's move on, guys, to From Dusk Till Dawn 2. Let me get a little drink of water here, guys. Excuse me. Gotta wet that whistle there. From Dusk Till Dawn 2, guys. Texas Blood Money. Now, if memory serves, which usually it doesn't, so don't shoot me too much on this, but I do not think From Dusk Till Dawn 2 was out at the movie theaters. I believe it went straight to video. I believe it's produced by Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino, but it's directed by Scott Spiegel, who you know from the Evil Dead cadre of filmmakers, and also from directing the little infamous slasher called The Intruder. He directs this one, and it's even got a cameo by Bruce Campbell in the beginning of the movie. It's basically a lot of the same, but different. It's not a two-parter type movie like the first one was. It basically, I believe it's kind of set in time before From Dusk Till Dawn original. It's kind of like a prequel because Danny Trejo shows up in this one again as a vampire. And, you know, a lot of the same things go down. It's the same bar and everything. So, basically, it's about Robert Patrick, who you know from Terminator 2 fame. And he basically goes around, finds Raymond Cruz and a bunch of these other kind of sordid individuals. You're going to know a lot of these character actors by their face in the movie. I don't know a whole lot of their names, but just watch a lot of the supporting characters. You'll have seen them in other films before. So he gets this big old catalog of other criminals together. They're going to go do a bank heist, basically, in Texas. And whenever it gets down to time before the bank heist, I believe one or two of the guys hook up with one of the vampires from the club, and basically it's kind of like a lot of them start getting taken over and becoming vampires, and it's about them just trying to stay alive at that point, about like the first one. And just like From Dusk Till Dawn 1, these movies like this of that time frame, about mid to late 90s, a lot of the lower budget ones like this kind of suffer from that mid to late 90s early CGI that hadn't had all the bugs worked out of it yet. So just know that there's a lot of that early CGI in a couple spots of these two movies, and don't let that take away from the overall viewing experience. But I'll just say it like this: From Dusk Till Dawn is a good little horror flick on its own, or crime horror flick, however you want to say it. From Dusk Till Dawn 2 is kind of like your Evil Dead vampire movie. It's kind of like that's where the difference is. It kind of goes the Evil Dead route with all the over-the-top action in the film and things of that nature and special effects. Basically, it's not a bad film. I like From Dusk Till Dawn 2. Now, I don't have From Dusk Till Dawn 3 in my collection, or From Echo Bridge yet. But basically, I can say Texas Blood Money is a good story, a good fun little horror movie. Don't take it too seriously. It's a good little ride. I'll just say it that way, from Scott Spiegel's direction style. Definitely a different direction style, but a lot of the same things. It's got the bar in it. It's got a lot of the same set pieces in the movie, so it's probably kind of best summed up as same but different in terms of storyline. Now, most importantly, overall, the Blu-ray presentation, I gotta say, is the Blu-ray transfer from Dusk Till Dawn 2, as opposed to the first one, is a step down in picture quality. It looked really, really grainy. It looked kind of like a DVD port. Now, I could be wrong. But these Echo Bridge ones like that, it's kind of been a hit and miss situation where I've seen some that are, most of which have been okay, but some of them along the way that I've viewed so far in terms of Blu-ray, you know, you want it to be a step up over DVD. You can tell it's high def From Dusk Till Dawn 2, but for overall picture, for a movie, for like the first one that was about 3 or 4 years older than this one should have looked about the same as this one, because they weren't really high budget movies to start with, and I don't know. It's one of those deals where I'm not going to be too picky, because like I say, when these come out on the shelves, I don't think they're going to be that much, and whenever it hits the town, I would say if it's not too much, if you're going to pick up these double packs, I wouldn't pay more than probably about $10 to $12. I think you'd be safe to get them that way. Just know there's no special features from Dusk Till Dawn 2, Texas Blood Money. It is a full high definition 1080p 1:781 ratio with English 2.0 stereo sound. I've never owned From Dusk Till Dawn 2 on DVD, so I don't know if it was only a stereo mix or if it did in fact have a prior release with surround sound 5:1 audio. So in case if you know that, leave me a comment on this review and we'll all share in that information there. That's been kind of your overall rundown. From Dusk Till Dawn 2 in terms of picture quality is probably a 2.5 stars out of 5. The sound is okay. It's a good solid stereo mix, probably about a 2.53 stars out of 5 for sound. That's your quick and dirty rundown on a couple of good, just little fun horror movies. You probably want to get these around Halloween time. Probably about that time of the year. These will be at budget price. So I would probably, if you don't pick them up now for a good price, wait till then. You'll probably pick them up for a good cheap price. You can add them to your collection in the high def goodness there for cheap. So there you go. From Dusk Till Dawn and from Dusk Till Dawn 2, Texas Blood Money. I say if they're cheap enough, buy them. If not, wait a little while and you'll get them for a good price. Rock on, dudes, and I'll see you next time.